This meeting will now come to order. Juanita, can you take the roll?
Sure. Randy Brockway,
Here.
Rachel Morella,
Here.
Art Perry,
Present.
Michael O'Brien, Rich Regan,
Here.
Juliette Boyd,
Yeah.
and Mary Rose Mandia.
Here. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Right, I would like to just welcome our new board members as confirmed by the April 7th, 2015 Consolidated General Election. Congratulations to Jeffrey Miller, who won the election for the 2-year seat. And also, I'd like to welcome Sherry Kleiber, Linda Murphy, and Rich Regan, who are the 3 board members who will serve in the 4-year seats for the next 4 years. Thank you. I would now like to ask Sherry Kleiber, Jeff Miller, and Linda Murphy to come to the microphone, and I will administer the oath of office together to all 3 of you at the same time. Let's.
I think so.
Nice. Go ahead, just be safe.
Yeah, I think.
In an abundance of caution, probably.
Pardon?
In an abundance of caution, probably is a good idea.
You should definitely
Yeah.
take the.
I'll do it again, thank you.
But why not? Do it again.
Yeah.
I didn't turn it, I gotta look over your
I
shoulder.
have an extra one.
Right on top here.
No, sure. Take this one. There you go.
There it is.
You take that one. It's here.
Okay, after they're sworn in, got it. Very good.
All right. I'm gonna say the first paragraph, and then you can read the first paragraph, and then say your name. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Riverside School District 96 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
I, Mary Murphy, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the Board of Education of Riverside School District 96 in accordance with the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and the laws of the State of Illinois to the best of my ability.
I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful prosecutor of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting, and I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
I further swear that I shall respect taxpayer interests by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets. I shall encourage and respect the free expression of opinion by my fellow board members and others who seek a hearing before the board while respecting the privacy of students and employees. I shall recognize that a board member has no legal authority as an individual and that decisions can be made only by a majority vote at a public board meeting. And I shall abide by majority decisions of the board while retaining the right to seek changes in such decisions through ethical and constructive channels.
Thank you, and now take your seats, the board members. And Juliet, Art, and Mike O'Brien, thank you for your service, and you can take your name badges.
Yeah.
Mary Rose?
Yes.
I would like to just thank Art Perry, Michael O'Brien, and Juliet Boyd for their service. Art and Michael have been great steadying influences and very productive members of the board. Juliet, in her short time on the board, has contributed a great deal, and I thank you all. And then I would just like to thank you, Mary Rose Manja, as our president for these past 2 years. It's been a challenging time, but I think it's has yielded some wonderful benefits, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, and thank everybody for their service, and for those who are leaving, those who are remaining, and those who are just beginning. Thanks again. I guess next up, now that our new board members have been seated, I'd like to conduct the election of officers, and I would like to ask for nominations for the office of president, and this president will serve for a 2-year term. May I have a nomination?
I nominate Jeff Miller.
I second that nomination.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations? All right. Juanita, we have a motion to and a second to nominate Jeff Miller for board president. Can you call the roll?
Okay. Excuse me. Sherry Kleiber,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Linda Murphy,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Jeff Miller,
Aye.
and Mary Rose Mandian.
Aye.
And the motion is passed.
Congratulations, Jeff. Jeff,
Switch seats now?
Rotating squares.
I'm pleased to hand the gavel to you.
They're really close to you. So sorry, Mike.
We'll work it out. Don't worry. Let me know.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah. Thank you, Bob. This is mine.
That's my crayon. Oh, yeah, that's yours.
This
Sorry.
one. Let's play a little musical chairs here.
All right.
So I'd like to thank the outgoing officers, President Mary Rose Mangia and Vice President Rachel Morello, for their service over the last 2 years. I'd also like to thank Juliet Boyd, Michael Bryan, and Art Perry for their service to the district. On behalf of Sherry Kleiber, Linda Murphy, and myself, I'd like to thank the entire former board, both the outgoing and remaining members, for the professional and open manner in which they've included us in the selection process for the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and the Interim Superintendent. I believe I speak for the entire board in saying we look forward to a productive, collaborative relationship with each other, with our talented and dedicated administrators, teachers, and support staff, and with the community. It's important to note that we as board members are certain to disagree on many issues. This is to be expected and indeed is arguably desirable. What is important is not that we all agree on every issue, but that we reach our collective decisions through a respectful, transparent, and methodical process. Having spoken with all my fellow board members over the last few weeks, I am confident that this is how we proceed as we perform the duties for which we are elected. So with that, now we'll move on to the election of the vice president. Do we have a nomination for the vice president?
I'd like to nominate Linda Murphy for vice president.
Do we have other nominations?
I would like to nominate Mary Rose Manja, vice president.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? So, Juanita, can you take the roll for voting for Linda Murphy as vice president?
Okay. Randy Brockway,
No?
Sherry Kleiber,
No.
okay, Okay, Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Jeff Miller,
No?
Linda Murphy,
No.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
and Mary Rose Mangia.
No.
And the motion has passed 5-2.
Could you read the roll for the election of Mary Rose Mangia?
Rich Regan,
No.
Linda Murphy,
Aye.
Jeff Miller,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
No.
Sherry Kleiber,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
and Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Okay, and the motion is passed. Mary Rose Mangia.
Thank you.
Vice President.
So,
That's what you get.
Musical chairs on that.
Yeah. Here we go.
I'm fine. A lot of stuff. Oh, thank you.
so the next item on the agenda is public comment. We now open the floor to public comments. The board welcomes comments from the public. In the interest of efficiency, we ask that you keep your comments to less than 5 minutes. We also ask that if you are speaking on behalf of a group, that the group appoint one person as a spokesperson. As a matter of policy, the board does not respond to questions or comments during the meeting. When your name is called, please approach the microphone, state your name and address. Is there anyone here who wants to make a comment?
We usually have a signage.
Oh, no comments? No comments, okay. So now we move on to the action items on the agenda. The first action is the appointment of the secretary. You have to log in here first. Submitted to the Board of Education is the motion to approve the appointment of Juanita Patton as board secretary.
So moved.
Second?
Is there any discussion? I move that the Board of Education approve the appointment of Juanita Patton as board secretary as presented. Juanita, could you take the roll?
Sure. Jeff Miller,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Linda Murphy,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Sherry Kleiber,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
and the motion is passed.
Okay. The second item is the establishment of meeting dates, times, and places. Submitted to the Board of Education is the motion to approve the establishment of the regular business meetings, dates, times, and places. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion?
Can I just make a comment that for those of you that don't have the dates in front of you, they're going to remain on the third Tuesday of each month.
So I move that the Board of Education approve the establishment of the regular business meetings, dates, times, and places as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Juanita, can you take the roll?
Linda Murphy,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Sherry Kleiber,
Aye. Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Jeff Miller,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
motion passed.
The third item is the motion that the board continue to operate under the present policies. Submitted to the Board of Education for approval is the motion that the board continues to operate under the present policies. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? I move that the Board of Education approve the motion to continue to operate under the present policies as presented. Renita could take the roll.
Sherry Kleiber,
Aye.
Jeff Miller,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Linda Murphy,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
motion passed.
The next item is the authorization of signatories for board in addition to president and secretary. Submitted to the Board of Education for approval is the request for authorization of signatories, namely vice president for the board in addition to the president and secretary. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is that a normal standing policy right now?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Nope.
I move that the Board of Education approve the authorization of signatories, namely Vice President for the Board, in addition to the President and Secretary as presented. Juanita, could you take the roll?
Rachel Morello.
Aye.
Mayor Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Sherry Clyber.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Linda Murphy.
Aye.
Rich Regan.
Aye.
And Jeff Miller.
Aye.
Motion passed.
The next item is the authorization of signatories for Imprest Fund. Submitted to the Board of Education for approval is the authorization of signatories for Imprest Fund as follows: Superintendent and/or Interim Superintendent, Director and/or Interim Director of Finance and Operations, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Any discussion? I move that the Board of Education approve the following positions as having authorization as a signor on the Imprest Fund account checks, as well as financial reports sent to the school township treasurer and the Illinois State Board of Education as presented. We need to take the roll.
Rich Regan.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Jeff Miller.
Aye.
Linda Murphy.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Sherry Clyber.
Aye.
And Rachel Morello.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
The next item is the approval of an addendum to the consultants agreement. Submitted to the Board of Education for approval of the addendum to the consultants agreement. This is the agreement with Dr. Burnett. Can I have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I have questions regarding what are we authorizing exactly?
From what I understand, we're giving ourselves the option to engage Dr. Burnett in providing training for the board and other services as we deem appropriate. But I think it's purely, from what I can read, it's purely optional on our part.
Okay, I think if we're going to do that, we should be more specific in what kind of scope and agreement that we're going to be looking at. Because by looking at this, I couldn't understand what we were approving at this time.
Again, I feel that it is specific. We are approving for him to offer not specific services, but to be able to help us with board training, which we will work on which we will determine as a board, but also to give us the flexibility to do it to add any services by board direction.
Well, I think that if we're going to do board-specific training, I think it would be more beneficial for, we do have a training fund. IASB offers trainings. I think that it probably would be better if we were to individually go and take advantage of IASB groups. But I don't know exactly what we're authorizing here, and if we're going to authorize training, I'd like to know specifically what we're getting training on and why we should do that as opposed to doing the IASB or ISBE trainings.
Do you have any thoughts on the training that was outlined in the board packet?
I don't know what your training that was.
It was a memo.
It was in the memo. It was part of the same memo of recommendations that Dr. Burnett addressed other things. And again, that's the specific items that he's recommending, which...
I don't have that. Is it attached to the agenda?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe it is.
Oh, is it?
It's a second attachment?
It's under the assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction.
It's at the end of that document, is that where it is?
Yeah.
Are there any other thoughts on this topic?
Actually, it's not included in
Not
here.
included in
I
it?
don't
Okay.
think it
I
is.
apologize, it's not. I didn't realize it needed to be.
No, I thought I saw it.
It was a memo from Dr. Bonnet to the board outlining it. It was not in the packet.
I think I've been very impressed with Dr. Burnett in the last several weeks that we've worked with him. I would just comment that the board would have to approve any service that we would ask him to do specifically. And with that in mind, I think it would be wise to amend this consultant's contract to allow us that opportunity.
My statement isn't by no means a reflection of Dr. Burnett. I just want to know more specifically what when we're authorizing somebody to do something, what we're agreeing to. And I'd like to see the memo before we vote. I think we can continue this until the next meeting so that we can have more information about what exactly we're voting on.
Any other thoughts or comments?
I'd like to see some specifics as well. I'm not averse at all to group training. I think that's what makes it different than the IASB individual training, but I'd like to see some specifics on details.
I definitely don't think we should vote if certain board members aren't feeling comfortable with voting. I agree with that. I do think having the option to get some board training from Dr. Burnett is a good option, and whether we exercise that option moving forward. But I can't fault you for not wanting to vote.
Just to know what we're
Right.
getting training on.
Does it make sense to table this until the May 19th meeting, and then we can get the details that are in the memo and look at
Yes,
it carefully,
that would
and
be
then decide then? That's only 10 days away, so does that make sense, or?
Makes sense to me.
Sure.
So, can we have a motion to table this until the May 19th meeting?
I think we have to vote on the current motion
Oh,
on the
we do?
table. Yes,
Okay.
right, so,
Just approve first, not
Got it.
approve the contract.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So is there a motion to not approve the contract
approve,
at this
approve.
point?
Yeah.
The motion.
I think the motion.
There's the motion.
Yeah,
Oh,
the motion is to
Oh,
approve,
to approve.
excuse me, and then we're going to
Sorry.
vote
Got it.
yes or no.
Okay, Rachel Morello,
Nay.
Linda Murphy,
Nay.
Rich Regan,
Nay.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Sherry Kleiber,
Nay.
Mary Rose Mangia,
No.
and Jeff Miller.
Nay.
I thought it was here.
The motion is passed. No.
It's in that memo.
Okay, that was the last action item. The future meeting dates, the next regular business meeting is May 19th at 6:30 PM here at the Hauser Learning Resource Center. The next item is the board will enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing, submitted to the board is the motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Should mention that as coming meeting, don't you?
I move that the Board of Education approve.
Just to read that.
Just read it again. We already read that.
Reason.
We already did, yeah. we
Okay,
did, yeah.
sorry, I'm done.
So I move that the Board of Education approve the motion to enter into closed session as per the purposes stated. When we emerge from closed session, we will be voting to approve the contract for the new assistant superintendent of curriculum. So, we need to take the roll.
Okay. Ready? Sherry Kleiber,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Rachel Morello.
Aye.
Jeff Miller.
Aye.
Linda Murphy.
Aye.
Rich Regan.
Aye.
And Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Motion is passed.